Welcome, welcome. Hi, everybody. Today is the first day of spring. Couldn't pick a better day to have a webcast on. First day of spring, and every time first day of spring comes around, I'm just happier, happier, happier. I'm so excited. I really am. I just love spring. I've decided of all the seasons, and I say this every time a season changes, it's my favorite. I mean, obviously, I love all the seasons, but I guess it's the change that I love. I grew up in Miami, Florida, and there were no change of seasons. And that just wasn't fun. I love the change. I don't know what it is. But anyway, thank you all for being here. It is the first day of spring. And so but it's also daylight saving time now. So it's still light outside, or pretty close to, as it gets closer into summer. And we're always going to be our traditional selves. We're going to start with the questions and answers. And I get so many emails. I love your emails. You all know that. And I get emails that some, you hate the question and answer. Can you just do away with that? And some, please don't ever do away with the questions and answer. So, for those of you who hate the questions and answers, you're going to join us at 8:15 once we're done. And for those of you who love it, stay tuned at 8 and we'll always do the questions and answers. I just think that's what this is all about. I think the live is important. I think it's important to feel that you have a place to go to get answers to your questions. I just think all of that is really important. Like I said, over the years, I have a couple mentor friends of mine where I can always go and get answers, even to this day. And I'm telling you, it's priceless. They're like heads and tails above me, but they still answer my little petty questions, and that's really nice. So, having said all of that, first day of spring, welcome, welcome, and let's answer your questions, if we have any. Okay, what's the pattern base for the swing dress? 4,000. Is it 195? It is 195, but it's a looser version of 195 because on that sleeve, the shoulder's a little wider. 4,000, while it's a knit dress, it's a little bit oversized. Doesn't mean you can't take it down, but even if you take it down, it's a little wider over the shoulder as it's meant to be. And tonight we're actually going to use 4,000. A couple of the tops are actually 4,000, and you'll go, that's 4,000. But I'll show you the changes I made to them and what we did. So it's really important that you all did your homework. Your homework was to have watched a week ago Monday's webcast. Not the webcast. I'm sorry. A week ago we did the kimono sleeve. We're building on that. So you're going to be pattern making before you know it. All right. So yes, 4,000 is the base. Number 575, after adjusting the shoulder slope, how do I lower the armhole of the yoke without it becoming too narrow at the side seam? That's a great question. And just think one step beyond where you're thinking. As soon as you lower the armhole, you lower the yoke line also. So you preserve the styling by taking the yoke line and lowering it down that same amount, and then just redraw the curve of that yoke line and you'll have it perfect. Okay, so you're almost there. You're 50% there. You just need to continue to lower. When you're going to styling, you can affect the styling the same way so that it'll preserve the styling but still incorporate the fit. Okay, pegging pattern 112. That's Casey's 5-way top. If the front should be on the fold, how wide should the fabric be in order to fit? Because my fabric is 60 inches wide and it doesn't fit well. You can turn the fabric lengthwise. Doesn't have to be widthwise. And I always put a seam at center front. This is the one I did in the I don't know what we call them, the Let's Sew series that was on Thursday. And I always put a seam in the front, and I do that simply because when I'm wearing it, it's so much easier to have a seam there because you know immediately where the center is when you go to change the styling. So there's nothing wrong with putting a folded center front, but I think in order to not put a folded center front, you either have to have 60-inch wide or you have to turn it the lengthwise of the fabric, I believe is the answer on that. Or you could just put a fold down center front. It's not that big a deal. Okay? You can always cut it a little shorter too. That length is not imperative that it be as long as it is. Cutting it shorter changes up the styling a little bit. On pattern 310 is Marie's top. That is an empire waist, just for those of you who don't know. Can you explain how to attach the double front bodice to the back? It seems like there's a raw seam there. No, you have a double front and a double back, and you finish the neck edge first. And then once you finish the neck edge, it's double in the front, double in the back, and then you sew the two fronts to the empire band, and you sew the two backs to the empire band. The armhole goes into the sleeve. There's no raw edges. It's all completely finished. So you shouldn't have any problems that I know of. Email me specifically if I'm missing a point, but it's just all double. It's just like a wide facing is really all it is. I'm not a big facing fan, so whenever I'm looking for ways to do things, I'd much rather double something than have a facing. I don't care for facings that are, you know, especially the older style facing that's like an inch wide, inch and a half wide. I just don't care for that. It looks dated to me. What are the best patterns to start with for a sleeveless nightgown and a lightweight summer robe? Right off the top of my head, summer robe would be 1850. 1850 is called the quilted jacket. It's a great summer robe. Lap it twice. It depends on if you want a collar or not. If you want a collar for a summer robe, I'd go with 915. You goes cardigan. And then sleeveless nightgown, I would do if it's a woven, I would do 600 and just put it on the fold. 600 is the blouse. You can put it on the fold and then put a little slit in the back. You can make the neckline wider so it just slips over your head, or do 195 and do it as a knit, just depending on whether it's knit or woven. But as sleeveless pajamas, I wear 195 to bed every night. 195, and I cut the neck into a V and I put the black fold over elastic trim. Those are my pajamas, and the yoga pant. That's my nightly pajamas. Not that I want to discuss that on YouTube, but those are my nightly pajamas. And they're comfortable, and I wash them, and I just love them. You know, I have a couple sets of pajamas, but those are my only me pajamas. Anyway, do you need a sway back adjustment in 4000 since it's so full? It depends. The only time sway back, again, keep in mind, is when the center back of the garment, or the body, is shorter than the sides. The only time we're going to start to see these is when the garment comes closer into the body. Otherwise, we don't see some of these issues. So it's not going to automatically need it. It depends on how close you're bringing it into the body as to whether you'll need it or not. But the minute you start to just silhouette the body, yes, you'll need it. If you need it in other patterns, you'll need it in 4000. Okay? And 4000 has a center back seam. Doesn't mean I used it. This is a 4000. This is actually 4000 also. There's not a center back seam in either one. I put both of them on the center back fold. And you can't get rid of that. But if you're making 4000 as a dress or as like a tunic, then you want to use that center back seam because it's a great shaping place. The two side seams and the center back seam are where you want to do all your shaping. Okay? If you want to make a skirt using something like your navy floral rain fabric, that's what this is. That's this right here. And you want the border part at the bottom of the skirt. Any rules for placing across the grain? No, because if you're familiar with navy floral rain fabric, if we just look at that for a minute, what you see about the fabric, and what I love about border prints like this, is I love border prints or when they're not rigid. You know, the floral is heavier at the bottom, and then it dissipates into the middle, and then it goes back into a border at the top. Okay, if you see the whole width of the fabric. So when you have a fabric like that, what that says is I can use that fabric not as the perpendicular and parallel. I don't have to have it matching at the sides. I don't have to have a straight skirt. 2750 is an A-line, and I can use it on an A-line. I can use it something that has flare at the bottom because I can melt the sides in together, and I have some leeway as to where the borders have to match. I'm hoping this makes sense. So I love those graduated borders because they give me freedom that the more stringent borders that have lines tend to give us. So the rain fabric that she's talking about is perfect for the skirt today. And I actually made it up, so I'll kind of show you that as we get moving on here in a little bit. But it's a great combination. And again, I love borders that are a little more forgiving than border. I love all borders, you guys know that, because I think every time I see a border, whether it's in the fabric store or made up in a retail situation, every time it just says that the garment took more care. It meant it had more thinking to going into it, And every time we produce a garment, we should be considering the fabric. It should always be about the fabric. In fact, we've got a sale starting on the Fabric Always Wins DVD starting in the morning, but it should always be about the fabric. I cannot emphasize that enough, and I get a lot of questions, and what I glean from these questions is you're not understanding that. You're not putting that fabric first, and I get that. I understand that because you're nervous about the pattern. You've just gotten this pattern to fit, and you want it to be in this fabric, but it really ideally needs to work the opposite direction. We really want to look at that fabric, understand the fabric, kind of take a step back and really what do we want it to say, and then kind of let it speak through the garment. It sounds like they're going to check me into the loony bin, but you understand what I'm saying. All right, so that was a long answer to that question, but I've been working with that fabric and I love that fabric, and it's really a beautiful piece. It's a cotton also, and so the drape is incredible on it. All right, quick question. Your neckline is stunning. Oh, thank you. Is it available at Silhouette Patterns? Yes, this is under fabrics. It's the neck piece. It's a turquoise neck piece. Just, I don't know what page it's on, but just scroll the fabrics and you'll see it. And then this is the best black cotton knit that we used. The lace, everything's on there actually. I forgot about the lace. It's all on there. We did this in a Let's Sew series, I don't know the number, a little bit ago. But yeah, you can just find it all. Could I put the yoke of 2750 into 2009? Yes, but why? You're better off to take the styling of 2009, in my opinion, and put it onto 2750. So let's just for a minute talk about those two and what they are. 2750 is an A-line, 2009 is a straight skirt. So the straight skirt just is a straight skirt. If you like the straight skirt, you're better off to take the 2750 and just make it a straight skirt. And that's probably the easier thing to do than putting the yoke onto the 2009. You always kind of want to keep it as simple. Styling is easier to change than fit. The yoke is fit. Straight skirt or A-line, that's just styling. So I hope that makes sense to you all, but that's the simpler thought process. Okay? I'm making the top with the cap sleeve. You used the sweater pattern 195. Yes, good girl. Would 915, and I heard from all of you that you love that. You just love that. You love the simplification. We're going to take it a little step further tonight and really make it more fun and add a few more little simple fun things that I hope y'all will enjoy doing. Would 915 Hugo's top or 117 cut up tee or 197 Candosa's top work just as well? Yes and no. 915, yes, Hugo's cardigan. Keep in mind, anytime you give up that seam, you decide the wrinkles are okay with you. And so be careful to do that because, you know, you guys, for a long time, I did not want to do that because I wanted you to kind of learn what are accidental wrinkles that should not be there and what are purposeful wrinkles that should be there. And so that makes me nervous that we really haven't worked our way through that. The difference though being is when you add a kimono sleeve on, the wrinkles are vertical. And you'll notice with any time that the darts are wrong or the shoulder angle's wrong and you get armhole gapping, those are diagonal. And those vertical wrinkles and those diagonal wrinkles, they're two different wrinkles. One is a good wrinkle, one is a bad wrinkle. And I know y'all know that what I'm talking about, but it does get to where we go, huh? What is she saying? Now, having said that, Candosa's top, 197, that already is a kimono. That's already been made into a kimono. So there's no doing it to that. It's been done. But the cut up tee, could you do it to that? Yes, of course. And 915, could you do it to that? Yes, as well. Okay. Peggy, how could I adjust 2750 for a straight skirt? How should I know the width of the hem? All right, so I just happen to have this skirt with me. And you all, a straight skirt is the circumference of the hip minus, well, I mean, in technicality, it's the circumference of the hip. What fashion has done to make that look a little better is we've taken the circumference of the hip straight down and then minus 4 inches. There's an inch off of each piece. So an inch in the front, an inch in the back, inch in the front, inch in the back on both sides. So it's your hip circumference minus 4 inches. And that's what looks best on a straight skirt. And the reason that is so flattering is because it gives an illusion that your hips are actually smaller than they are. Some women say, no, 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 if you take it in through the hips, I'll look bigger. No, you won't. You'll look smaller. Trust me on this one. So this is the skirt front of Amy's skirt. And you always keep center front on that center. You could place it on the fold. It's not on the fold here. There's a seam. The only reason there's a seam is because this is an A-line and I can give some fullness on both seams rather than having all the fullness at the side. If you go back to a pattern making rule, and I know some of you, I've mentioned this in several places, but how you lay a skirt on the fabric will determine the drape of the skirt. So without getting too complex into that tonight, in this particular case, I'm going to say this is center front and I'm going to say it's straight, and then I'm going to take the curve of this and I'm going to bring it straight down. So instead of going into the A-line, which is what it does, I'm going to go ahead and bring it straight down to equal exactly what the hip is, okay, down. But then I'm going to take the French curve and it's going to look like this at the bottom. So what you can see is instead of this, I'm thinking you can see that now. So instead of you can see that here's the edge of the skirt and here's the French curve. So whatever the hip line is, you want to take that measurement and then come in. Now in the very beginning when you're just so it curves off about this much. In the very beginning when you're doing this, go ahead and just take it straight from the hip line and then make that up. You can always peg it in after the fact. You can just take, you know, the French curve and peg it in, but at least do just your hip and go straight down and then see that and see how you like it and then go from there. But keep in mind, when you do a straight skirt like that, it does have to have a slit. So that's what 2009 does, is it has a button up the front. And that button up the front, that front acts as a slit so that it gives you a little bit of mobility. And of course the slit is based, how long it is based on how long the skirt is and how close it is to the body. Okay? Hopefully that helps you. But very easy to do. The difference between the A-line and a straight skirt is smaller than your hip and A-line is larger than your hips. And the A-line goes straight out from your hips. Okay? All right. Regarding the overlay pattern piece for St. John's top. St. John's top. Which pattern is that? 145. That's a discontinued pattern. Okay, I need to enlarge it on the left side where it sews into the sleeve. It pulls. Should I do a full bust adjustment to it on that? Whenever I hear full bust adjustment, I kind of freak out. It's like some kind of Pavlov's dogs, you know? Because I don't even know, first off, what a full bust adjustment is. But the other thing is I don't think they even work. I don't know what they are, but I don't think they work because otherwise none of you would have fitting issues. You've had fitting issues for all these years, and I think it's because all of these things you know to be true aren't really effective. So no, if it pulls, you just need more circumference. So just go to a larger size. Oh yeah. Okay, so you see, you're thinking that because it pulls, that's depth. Cup sizing is depth. It pulls because of circumference, not depth. So in your mind, what you should do then is use a larger circumference for the overlay. Even if the underneath part you want to stay with the size you are, the overlay is pulling. That says the overlay is too small. It's not the right cup size. So let me make a blanket statement and surmise that from that comment, I can tell that you're confusing depth with circumference. Depth is cup sizing, circumference is around. This is a pull because of circumference, not because of depth or cup sizing. Cup sizing actually doesn't pull. Cup sizing gapes. So just to kind of differentiate those two and put them in different categories, you need more circumference. So go to a larger size and use a larger overlay, and that should do that. That should help. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. All right. Let's do POM. I'm just too excited to bring you some fun things we have. And all these things you say, what can you do to a skirt? Well, you'd be surprised what you can do to a skirt. Because skirts are really popular for spring. So I've been shopping. And I've seen so many cute ideas. And then because with every skirt you have to have a top that goes with it, I decided to play with some tops too. So my thought process as I went through and looked at 2750 and said, okay, this is the pattern of the month. My concept, and it's been this way for a long time, is whenever you do a skirt, you always do something with it. Most women, when they buy skirts, in my retail background, when they buy skirts, they don't buy a skirt. They buy, especially if there's something made with it, they buy the outfit. So because I was just kind of brainwashed that way, I still think that way. Many times, many years, when I was at trade shows and women would come up to me and say, so excited, I want to make this skirt. And I'd say, okay, what are you going to wear it with? And they'd go, well, I don't know. So I want you to think skirt and think, what am I going to wear it with? What's going to top it off? Because I want to think outfits. In this particular case, I want to think whole pieces. All right, so the very first thing I did is I found in Nordstrom's, and I just love this skirt. It's this black one right here. I'm hoping you can see really not even the parts of the skirt because I'll show them all to you. You know what? And I left the pattern. That's okay. That's okay. No, I left the pattern downstairs. Okay, so anyway, I'll show it to you. It's not a big deal at all. It's very easy to do. But I saw the skirt in Nordstrom's. It was a little over $800 because, you know, it was a fancy designer and everything. But I tried it on and I just absolutely loved the way this hung. I mean, it's just adorable. And you're going to see when this is done, this is like ridiculously too easy. You're going to say, okay, that's just way too simple. But you know, I think the best things are just simple and done so well, and they just go, okay, I can do that. I can actually do that. Okay, so in this case, this is 2650. I mean, sorry, 2750. 2750 Amy's skirt. Didn't do anything different, except that because this is made out of this black cotton knit, it doesn't matter if it's black cotton, black rayon, or anything else. And actually the original was a black, but it was a pinstripe, and it was so beautiful. I just didn't really want to use a stripe. I wanted to use a solid because I wanted it, this is my whole outfit, you know. I'll show it to you in a minute. But when we talk about all the parts going together, I really wanted a beautiful, classic black skirt that I could, that was classic, but somehow had a contemporary twist to it. And I found it, and this was exactly what I was looking for, and I knew it was out there, so I looked a long time for it. Before I show you that, I just want to show you the skirt, 2750 Amy's skirt, just as it is. This is no pattern changes. This is not a new skirt. This is just out of a border print. But when I say these border prints by being forgiving, and this is a sheer, and of course that's why the pattern was lined in the first place, so you could make it out of these beautiful sheers and have great results. It's a beautiful, beautiful skirt. Very simple, but very beautiful. But what it does is it allows for the border to be, you know, because it's not a real sharp line border, it can be an A-line, and you can still build a border into the skirt, and I just simply love it. Seam in the front, seam in the back, darts in the back that meld into a yoke, yoke in the front, yoke in the back, and then just a little zipper right down center back. So it's absolutely, like I said, it can be made out of so many different fabrics. If you're a sheer nut and you have shears, this is the best way to take advantage of the sheer, and then to just put a fabric underneath it. Simple and absolutely beautiful. Very quick and easy to do. But again, what are you going to wear with it? You want to think about what's going to go on top. All right, so then what I did, knowing that base, I then saw I wanted to make it a knit. I wanted to eliminate the zipper. I wanted to just make it kind of like a pull-on skirt. Very simple, very easy, very base, but yet contemporary. So this skirt is actually all just a rolled hem. And all this is a rectangle that's been added at the front piece. It's like so bizarrely easy. I was just shocked when I stood there and looked at it. In fact, I looked at it for so long, the guy came up to me and said, "Can I help you?" I said, "No, I'm just looking." He goes, "Yeah, but you've been there for a while. Do you want to try it on?" I said, "No, I'm just looking." But anyway, so this is a rolled hem. And you don't have to do a rolled hem. You could actually leave it blank. The only reason they use rolled hem is so that both sides can show and there's nothing wrong. But you all know you can do a little rolled edge. There's lots of different ways you can do that. So what I did here is I came down, and this is about 6 inches from the bottom. I decided I did not want to make this longer. You certainly could make it longer if you wanted to. I don't want my sleeve to get in the way. You could make it longer if you wanted to. And it's only, I only came up to 6 inches from the bottom of the skirt. Actually, it's 7. And then I came out 12 inches. So 7 inches up from the bottom of the skirt, and only on the front piece, not on both the front and the back. I came straight out 12 inches and then down my inches and then came back. Nothing else was done. And you can see also that when you do that, you don't sew it all the way together to the hem. Okay, the other thing I did is the first thing I did is I put, and this is just takes a minute on the pattern, you guys. It doesn't take a long time. I put the front together and I made the whole front, because what you may not see is that there's a 2-inch difference between this side of the skirt and this side of the skirt. So I love asymmetric, but I only like asymmetric when it's really done well. And you guys, you see a lot of asymmetric that just was like, okay, it's crooked, call it a day, and it's good, it's crooked. But I wanted it to be crooked in a more purposeful way, and I know that sounds crazy, but so this, I doubled the front, I did the angle, so it's 2 inches longer here than it is here. That's on the front and on the back as well. Double the pattern. Now I got lazy with the back because I didn't have to add this piece, and all I did was double the back. I added 2 inches all the way and then opened it and then just cut it off. So you don't really have to make a new pattern for that. And you don't have to make a new pattern for this either. I just felt like, I wanted to just so that you could clearly see it and clearly understand. All that does is go out. Now, if you're shorter, the cool thing is about making this is you can make it not as long. When it goes out the 12 inches, don't take it out that inches. Only take it 10 inches. You could, if you wanted to, you could show more leg. You could start the slit up higher. But I just love how that hangs. And again, it was so simple. When it's done in a stripe, the stripe is hanging this way, but then what you see is all of a sudden the stripe is going this way, and that stripe looks just really cool. I didn't do it in a stripe. You all can play in a stripe, but I just wanted to show this to you. So when you go to construct it, you're going to roll hem all the way around. The hem is just a rolled hem all the way around, and then you just go ahead and construct everything else on the sewing machine. Really simply done. Okay, so now when I thought about what am I going to wear with it, this is where I had made this top for you, and I had made it on last Thursday. Last Thursday on the Let's Sew. 112 is a perfect combination because it's just lightweight. There's several ways to wear it. It's easy. It's pretty. It doesn't have to be mesh netting. It could be any knit print. Any knit print that works well, that does your colorations, and then of course the black is a great base. So what I did is I made the black tank top to match, and because I wanted a little something on the neckline, I want you to see that. Now what that is that's this chain. And honestly, you guys, I have been looking for this for so long, and I was in New York and it was cold and I didn't feel like walking because it was so cold outside, and y'all know it was just a couple weeks ago where New York was like shut down because it was so cold. I was in New York that day, and it was so cold outside. I thought, well, I'm just not going to go outside. I'm just going to look a little longer at this store. And so sure enough, I looked a little longer and I found this chain, and I've been looking for this chain for so long. Now the coolest thing about this chain is it just manipulates and goes any which direction I want it to. And I've seen this. I've seen it on St. John. I've seen it in Eli Tahari. I've seen it on so many different designers. I thought, where are they getting this chain from? So I found it. And so then what I did on this is I took the seam allowance and did a rolled edge along the seam allowance. You actually wouldn't even need to do a rolled edge. I just did a rolled edge because I wanted it to match the bottom of this garment. I flipped it to the outside and stitched it down. Then what I did is I made little cuts. It's a knit. This is that best knit again. I made little cuts and I looped the chain through the cuts, and I brought it up when I wanted it and took it back down, brought it up, took it back down. So you can see I went all the way around with it. It's absolutely beautiful. I know you can't see it close up, but it is so lovely. It's just beautiful. And it just adds just a little bit of a touch, so it's a beautiful focal point. You can throw it in the washer, you can throw it in the dryer. I tested it for you. In the dryer, it makes a little bit of noise, just warning. But like I said, you could do this evenly if you want. You could put it on the outside. You could hand stitch it on. It's got little like holes in it. I don't know the best way to describe that. And I actually tried to do it by the machine. You can do it by the machine, but sometimes if you hit the metal, it won't break the needle. It'll break the metal. It'll actually bend the metal, and it'll go in. But I didn't like what it was doing to the chain, so I decided that to just hand do it. It's very easy to hand do. You can get a needle through it really simply. Okay, so that's what I decided to do with the bottom of this asymmetric. Is I made the tank top that was matching, and then added the little chain onto the tank top. Makes just a great little outfit. It's beautiful, it's simple, and yet it's such simple sewing that all 3 pieces didn't take me, I don't know, a couple hours. I mean, it's really fast. It's just really the ideas, I think, that take a long time to kind of put together in my head exactly what I want. They stay in my head for a long time before they get out. Before they're allowed out, I should say. Okay, so can we answer any questions on that? I'm going to move on to another one. I've got a couple more I want to show you. Too much fun, you guys, I'm telling you. And the problem is, the more ideas I get, I think I've got ideas taken like through May. There's just too many ideas, and they're all good ones, and I want to show you. I love doing the Monday and Thursday. I know some of you say it's too much, I can't watch all this. Just don't watch what you don't want to watch, but oh gosh, I've got so many fun ideas. There's so many neat ideas out there that I really enjoy doing the extra time, because I get to share so much more with you that otherwise you'd never see. So I'm your official shopper, if that's okay. What pattern is the black top with the chain? This is 500. Well, it's 514. That's why we did that little special packet. We did 112. It's called March Madness. We did 112, 514. That's a really good deal, by the way, because 514 is $20 by itself. So we did that one, and we did the swing dress, which I'm about to do. So those 3 patterns we did for like $34. It's crazy. I said it was too cheap, but I got voted off the island. So we went with those 3. How did you finish the top edge on the yoke of the black skirt? No, this is double. This is in the pattern. This yoke is 2 layers. So you actually, when you're doing the skirt on all of these, this is 2 layers here. So you sew the top seam, and then you sew it to here. So both layers then are stitched to here. So if you peek under here, there's your seam. This is all finished because it's double layers. The band itself is double layers. The skirt pattern is lined. So you have the outside is the fabric and the fabric of the skirt, and the inside is the fabric and the lining, and you sew those 2 together and finish them off. So you have a lining in there, and you have double the yoke throughout the skirt area. Okay? Okay, so let's go to something else I wanted to do with that, and that is you're seeing a lot of elastic waists. A lot of them. A lot of elastic waist, and I love them. They make a very cute, easy little skirt. So I'm going to take this one off. I just kind of pinned it for a short term here. And I'm going to show you what we did here. Just one second, let me get it off.
As an aside, is that chain on the website?
The chain's on the website. We just added it to this afternoon, you guys. It's sold by the yard. And like I said, we just added it this afternoon, so it's brand new. It's beautiful. It's so pretty. Okay, so here's the look of the skirt I wanted to give you. And you can see, and I know you've seen a lot of these skirts around. Basically, they are an A-line little skirt with this elastic at the waist. This skirt has a zipper in it, and we're just going to cut the center front and the center back on a fold. And I'm going to show you how to make this little elastic. And it's very cool how it's done. So I'm going to take like the front width. When you look at that front yoke, let me show you these pieces here for a minute. You're going to see that the front yoke has a wider dip in it than the back. This is the back. If we put them together, you'll see that the front is wider and the back is narrower. Just styling. So what that means is this front yoke, I'm going to put it on the center front fold. I'm going to have one wide piece. And on the very top of the fabric, on the right side of the fabric, I'm going to sew the elastic. And the reason I did this sample so you can see, I actually butt the elastic right up against itself. So you can see I do row and row and row. But because the right side of the fabric is up, if you see through that, and we're going to hold that right there. Sorry, Britt. Put that back. If you see through that, what you'll actually see if it stretches is you'll actually see the right side of the fabric. So it's a very cool effect to where it almost looks like the elastic is made to match the fabric. In fact, until I looked at it like really, really close, I never thought it was elastic just butted up against each other because, I don't know, I just didn't get it at first. It took me a while looking at it to go, that's just sewn right on top of the fabric. But anyway, it's just sewn right on top of the fabric. So you do it just like that. What I did is I just took the original piece and I figured out that it needed 3 rows. I sewed 3 rows together on a big piece of fabric, and then I just put the pattern piece on it and cut it out so that it could be nice and straight and be the same on both sides. And so you can see mine is straight on both sides. Its lowest point is there, and then it's got the 2 other rows. So then you can just sew that, and then I did a rolled edge along the top of the elastic, or just zigzag, it doesn't matter. And that's your skirt, and it just pulls on. It's cute, it's easy, it's quick to make. And then again, what I wanted was a top to wear with it. So I came up with this, and this is actually a top that I had. And I think that whenever I go have a top, and when I keep going back to those tops because they feel good, they're comfortable, etc., I really have a tendency to like those tops. And so this is what I did. Love this fabric. And this is the swing dress. You're going to say, really? Yeah, it really is. So let me show you what I did with that. This is just pattern play. It's just a lot of fun. So step number 1 is you're going to put the kimono sleeve onto, put the sleeve onto the swing dress, just like we did Monday. You're going to make a kimono because this fabric is really open and loose. We've had this fabric on the site for a while. It's beautiful. It's a cotton, it's a burgundy. It's just beautiful, and it's perfect for something like this. So right now, don't think about the colors, just think about the pattern itself. So all I did was I shortened the swing dress by 6 inches and then laid the sleeve on and made a kimono. That's it. All right. The next thing I did then is I cut that up into 3 pieces. So I curved the bottom. Instead of having the bottom straight across because I wanted to make a tunic, I curved the bottom. So I curved the bottom and then I cut those 3 pieces up. So this is going to be the netting, or this is going to be the fabric, and this again is going to be, the top and the bottom are going to go together, and this is going to be the middle. And I just did that to the front and the back. That's it. This has the dart. It's in the same place. It's adorable. I absolutely love it. Your proportions are 1 to 2 to 2. So that's fifths. So however long you want to make it is fifths. You divide by 5. You have 2 parts here, 2 parts here, and 1 part here. And you can take away the skirt and you can wear it with leggings. It's just a cute, cute look. Now with this lacy stuff, what was really fun about it is, well, first off, it had a border, and I put the border at the bottom. But then even once you cut it up, you could kind of just cut off what you didn't want. The neckline was really fun because I just cut off what I didn't want. So it almost looks like it's handmade to be this exact pattern, which it's not. You could cut it however you wanted. If you didn't want that, you could cut it off. If you decided that was too high, you could just kind of morph it to be whatever you wanted it to be. I had more fun making this top, and I had even more fun wearing it because I've already worn it. And I had so many compliments. I was in one store, and the store owner said to me, "Where'd you get that top?" And I said, "Oh, I've had it for a while. I know that's not exactly true, but I didn't want to say I made it. When I was in a store looking at, high-end stuff, I said, I've had it for a while. She said, oh, you just got to tell me who that is. And I'm like, oh, I've just had it for a while. I don't know who it is. Because I just didn't want to tell her I made it and I was in her store stealing ideas. I just didn't want to do that. But anyway, I just really like it. Front and back are the same. And of course you can make sure they end at the same point, because when you do your two middle sections, you're going to make them the same. So this is my back, and then those same middle things are the front. There's my dart from 4,000. So it's just 4,000. It's the kimono sleeve's been added on, the bottom's been rounded out, I took off length, and then I just cut it up. And that's just the cutest top in the whole world, I think. And I'm not prejudiced, but I love the fabric combination. I love everything about it. All right, any questions on that? Is the elastic just on the front band of the skirt and back also? Front and back, I did both. So the band, here, the band goes, that's the front, that's the back. I did it all the way. I wanted a solid black band all the way around, the whole entire thing. Most of the skirts in the store that way, you could just actually do it in the back. You really wouldn't even need to do front and back. You could do the fabric in the front and then just do that elastic in the back. But the look is to have that elastic showing. This wide elastic is very trendy, and it's on a lot of garments. So I decided it would be perfect to put it on the skirt. This makes for a really quick, easy skirt, you guys. It's really fun. Okay, how do you plan the size so the elastic yoke fits over your hips? Well, it still stretches. Even after you stitch it down, thanks for asking that. It still stretches. You don't have to change the size of the skirt at all. The only reason you have a zipper is to get it on. So you just choose the exact same size you would make, and this is going to stretch. The sewing, because you're sewing the elastic onto a knit base, it still stretches and pulls on, and I have, it looks great on. I mean, it's so simple. I'm sure that's why it's so popular and ready to wear, because it's so simple and it looks so good. It's very slimming, and it doesn't change the size at all. Okay. Pattern 4000 swing dress, is the size 4 the same as the size 4 for pattern 195? No. The size ranges, when they're 1 to 4, that's just our made-up sizing. We just pick numbers. When it says 4 to 18, 4 would be like the 1. 4 would be 0. 4 would be way, way down at the lowest. So no, you got to look at the size range. 4, 6 would be a 1. 8, 10 would be a 2. 12, 14 would be a 3, 16, 18 would be the 4. Okay. How much fabric did the tunic top take? It took a yard of each. Yard and a yard. Okay. Did you say there are darts in the swing dress? There are darts in the swing dress, yes. The darts in the swing dress look like that. If I can tell you that here's the top. This is the top where I made the kimono, and there's the dart. It's like the dart in the. It's not a French dart. It's a regular dart. It would be like a tank top. It goes into the side seam. It's a little lower than the French dart. The angle is a little lower. I mean, not the French dart. It's a little lower than the tank top. Okay. For the skirt with the elastic, did you add the yoke to the skirt and then add the elastic on top of the yoke? No. I added the yoke, the elastic to the yoke. I added the elastic to the fabric. Let me just make sure you're understanding this. Just like this. I added the elastic to the fabric. I kind of made elastic fabric, and then I put the yoke on top and cut it out. Then I sewed the front and the back yokes together, and then I sewed them to the skirt. That was it. Hem the skirt and you're good. Okay. The elastic skirt, did you line it also? I did not line the elastic skirt because this knit is such a great drape, and you can't see through it. It's just got a beautiful bold body, and so I didn't think lining was necessary. And plus it's knit, so lining, I'd have to use a knit. There's no reason to line. To me, the only reasons you line are you line shears and you line stuff to stabilize. No, then you fuse it. I don't line. The only reason I line is if I'm dealing with a shear and I'm going for like this look. So other than that, I don't line. I'm an unlined kind of girl. Out of the lines kind of girl is what I should say. All right, we've got another skirt I want to look at. Do you know? Okay, is that okay? Okay, so this outfit here now is the same thing. I just took the exact same pieces, and I'll probably kind of decompose this. But what I wanted you to see is that this is, again, kind of part of that new wardrobe where I'm dealing with my white jacket. My white jacket is perfect for kind of a base to wear over a lot of different spring things. And then I made a little skirt and top to go underneath. So we're going to take off this jacket and we're going to show you what's underneath. And this is the swing dress now as a blouse, because all I did was again make the kimono sleeve. You can see obviously here it's a short sleeve, and I just cut it off short for a swing dress. So if I pull it out, you can see that it's just a short little shirt, and that's just a swing. I think I took off 10 inches off the bottom of the swing dress. So it's just loose and full. It's a cute little top. It's really a cute little top. But remember that what we don't want to do is we don't want to wear it full like this, because it's not flattering to us. So that's where a belt is going to come along. We're going to tuck it in. We're going to do something with it. What I did is I'm going to put the skirt on the outside of it. So that's why I wrapped the skirt around the outside. And we're going to show you what I did to this skirt. We made a wrap skirt. So we took 2750 and we made a wrap skirt. Very simple to do. I cut the front, I cut the back, and I cut one more front. So just one more section out. This again is that the fabric that's gradiated. I love this fabric. Just absolutely love working with it. I think when you love a fabric in the beginning and you love it even more when you're done with it, that's the sign of an awesome fabric. All right, so here we have the wrap skirt. What I've done is I've just cut one more front. So the skirt fits well. You can see the gradation of that fabric. And for me, you know, there was a couple ways you could do this. You had enough length on this that you could actually take this portion and make it a little all the way. Like I could turn the whole thing upside down, because this amount would have never showed, it would have been inside. But I really decided, and I've seen a lot of border prints used in the store, and they actually do the border here and the border here and then leave the middle open. And I like that, and I decided that's how I wanted to use the fabric. I decided I wanted the plain to the middle, so that's how I laid it out. And then of course, when I laid out the yokes and the skirt themselves, they were just in the same area. They don't have to be exact because the border print itself is kind of forgiving. It's got a whole middle section that's all about the same. So I could lay that in there anywhere, and you could see that as long as you get it close, you're okay. So here you are, you've just got a big open panel. You found that. And you've got this front, there's the back, and there's another front. So on each of the sides, you add a whole nother front. So this wraps to here. And all I did was I just serged this and left it flat because it's underneath, and I didn't want to put any hem on it. And then all I did with this side was serge the edge, turn it under like an inch, and top stitch it so it kind of had like a finish to it. And then that wraps to this, and it buttons at the top. And you could do all kinds of different closures. I just did one button to the inside, one button to the outside, and called it a day, and it's easy. And you can see that when you wrap it this much, the whole entire front is wrapped. And what I love about that is you can lift this up and you're completely covered. I mean, even if this blows away, you've got complete coverage underneath, and I love that. I just absolutely love it. Love the skirt. I mean, look at this. This is the skirt. Like, even after cutting out and sewing it, it goes in your hand. That's called lightweight. And talk about traveling and so easy when you travel. I just really love this. This, of course, you can wear with other things. You could wear it with a pair of pants, a pair of jeans, white capris. There's so many things you can lend itself to. So I love this dressing when it's really simple and yet really gives itself a lot of flexibility as far as what else I could do with it. So very, very simple to do. And yet it looks great. You just never, you know, and cheap, really quick and easy and fun. All right, so we've got a wrap skirt, we've got an elastic, kind of pull on kind of skirt, and then we've got this beautiful asymmetric little girl we dumped over here in the corner. And all of those I think are just great options for this one little skirt pattern that's really beautiful all in by itself, even if you decide to make no changes and make it just like the pattern. But you know, once you make a pattern, you want to make it again and again and again. Okay, please show the front pattern piece for the black skirt. It's unclear how the extension is added. Well, my sweet son prodded his way downstairs and found my pattern piece. I said I had left it downstairs, so he went, thank you. He went and got it, and I don't know how he found it because he didn't know where it was, but he found it. I'll have to ask him later. How did you find that? Okay, so here, I did it just so you could physically see how it was done. I first folded it in half, and you can see that this side is the 2 inches longer. So that when you open it, you automatically get an angle from this side to this side being longer. And it just kind of lends itself. And then this is the part that's been added in. Go out 12 inches, go down 7 inches. And I know it looks weird, it looks really strange, but it just hangs gracefully and beautifully, and that's all that was done. Very easy to do. And you can see 2 little pattern changes. That's it. Okay, that really helps. To be able to see it visually, thank you. Again, I don't know how you found that, but thank you. My horizontal dart points up. How should I adjust the dart to point to the bust point? My horizontal dart points up. You mean it's too high, baby? It's too high? Maybe it's too high. Maybe that's what you're saying. The whole thing is just too high. You can use your shorten or lengthen line. What pattern are you talking about? But you can use a lengthen or shorten line and you can just drop the whole thing down until it's where you want it to be. As long as the dart is just too high or too low, you always want to use that's a length issue, so you want to use that length line to either move it up or move it down. And that's the easiest way to do it, and that way you don't have to draw the dart end. You don't have to do any of that. You just simply move the whole thing up or the whole thing down, and then you can get it exactly where you want. Where the side of the dart goes doesn't make a difference. Where the dart points to has to be within the bust circle. So as long as it's within the bust circle, it's okay. Okay. Is the asymmetric skirt lined? I did not line it. It's a cotton knit. It's a beautiful weight black. I mean, it's gorgeous. This black knit is just amazing. And I wasn't sure that I would like this rolled edge, and I do. It really gives a finish to it, but it's a really clean, nice finish. I just really like it. So no, it's not lined, to answer your question. Sorry, that was a simple question. I made it complex. No, it's not lined. Does the wrap skirt have a seam in the front panels? No. I put the center front on the fold. There's no reason for that seam. There's no reason. Center front on the fold, center back on the fold. Center back has a seam because there's a zipper in it. So I put both the center front and the center back on a seam so you can see really simplistic sewing and yet great results. Just really fun and simple. Did you add any extra to the top layer for the 1-inch side hem? Did you add any extra to the top layer for the 1-inch side hem? What 1-inch side hem? I'm not sure what side hem, what that means. I don't know. Maybe just clarify that again. The 1-inch side hem. 1-inch side hem. Not sure on that. But I know y'all are typing questions so fast. You're trying to get them in. And so sometimes we think one thing and we type another, and by the time it gets to up, it's like that game Telephone, where you said something at the beginning. By the time it gets to us, it's like, huh? Are we on the same conversation? I'm sure we are. We'll clarify. All right. So you can always email me. You guys know that. Peggy@silhouettepatterns.com. I get thousands of emails every day, and you all know who get answers. The answer is yes, no. And I do ask you if you all would pose the question rather than just ask a question, kind of pose the answers as to what you're thinking, and then I can just say number one, number two, rather than having to type out the answer. That really helps. And I want you all to think, because sometimes I'll email back, you're not thinking. You know the answer. I'm only doing that because my dad used to do that to me. And he'd answer me, you already know the answer. You're just not thinking. And I'd say, I do. I already know the answer. When my son started doing that to me, I thought, oh my gosh, genetics are alive and well. My son was teaching me computers one day. He goes, you know the answer. I'm not giving you the answer. I'm like, oh my gosh. I thought my dad died, but here he is again. So sometimes I do have a tendency to do that, and I'll apologize ahead of time because I know as a person it's very frustrating. Although, it does, we want you to think. And when you arrive at the answer, I always say, smart girl, way to go. So good job. The whole goal is that we move forward and that we progress, because I want to keep taking you farther and farther. And there's so many fun projects I want to do, and we're building little blocks. And I'm having a whole lot of fun. I hope you all are. Is the reversible lace fabric on your website black or dark navy? It's a dark navy. It's like a denim-y look. And you guys, I put up that fabric the other day, and it's going to be sold out. It's going so fast. I was actually going to make something tonight on the webcast to go with something else, but the fabric's going too fast, so there's no reason for me to make it. But in ready to wear, I saw the shirt, and it was this that we have, this reversible lace. It's light on one side and dark on the other side. And so what they did is they did the light on the front and the dark on the back. So it was so cool because when you look at the hanger, you saw light and light because the light was the wrong side on the back. It was just the coolest shirt. And even when I put it on, it was just a really cool shirt. So I don't think I'm going to make it because I think the fabric's going to get sold out before I get there. But I'll find more of it. I mean, because when I see that stuff in ready to wear, I'm always looking for it. And I know it's out there. It's just a matter of finding it where I find it. But it is a really cool fabric. And it's a navy base because it's a denim-y base. It's a lacy denim-y look. And it's lighter on one side and then a dark navy on the other. All right. What pattern is your top? This is 312, Giorgio's top. And then our little neck piece. All right. And I think we're at time. Yes? Did we do good? Plenty of ideas to last for 2 days for you guys because we have more ideas coming on Thursday. All right. Well, the goal, as you know, first off, I have to say happy spring. First day of spring. I hope you all there's lots of fun spring sewing to do. That's the best part about spring. And most importantly, happy sewing from Silhouette Patterns. We're thrilled to be able to do this and to have the technology to do this. And thanks for watching. Happy sewing from Silhouette Patterns. Good night.